This mum sent me a message, and she's one of my more complex clients. Her child has ADHD, autism, and type 1 diabetes, and he's also very, very anxious. And it's really hard for him to try new foods. And he's also on appetite suppressing medication. So when he's at school, he often doesn't feel hungry. And when we started working together, he would just be not eating at school. He would come home completely dysregulated. He was having a lot of hypos, meaning like his blood sugar levels were really low because he wasn't eating consistently throughout the day. And when you have type 1 diabetes, it's really important to eat consistently. But because this kiddo wasn't feeling his hunger, he wasn't eating. And so since we've been working together, he's been eating consistently at school. First, it was just a small amount, and then his mum sent me a message today saying that he is consistently eating all his lunch at school. His teachers have actually requested more lunch be packed, so I'm adding extra for him, which he is eating. So good. Mum also said that he's put on 3 kilos in 3 months, which is fantastic, because that was a little bit of a concern because he was going the entire day. So he'd eat at breakfast a little bit, and then he'd eat in the afternoon. He'd be starving and ravenous, but he wasn't eating at all for like the hours of like 8:30 to 3:30, which is a really big problem for a lot of kids that have ADHD who are on appetite suppressing medication, like a stimulant, because it suppresses their appetite. They don't eat. That's something that I work a lot with in my private practice. So he's doing really well at school, and he's eating, and mum also said that he's moving his body every day, and that he's doing a lot better, that he's feeling heaps better within himself, is what she said. And he's also requested on his own, this kid's 8, by the way, he requested on his own to buy and try strawberries and raspberries, and he tried both of them. This is a kid that has a lot of anxiety around trying new foods, and also doesn't have much motivation to try new foods. He likes the food he likes, and he doesn't want to branch out. So for the fact that he on his own requested to try 2 different kinds of berries and actually tried them is really, really huge. So those are the wins from this mum that I wanted to share with you, because when I read this email, I was like, a little bit of a happy tear of such great progress that they've made. And it's a real testament to her, to how she's implemented the tools that we work on when we do coaching together. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I've got a couple of questions on TikTok that I was going to come back to and answer. I'm also working on a new way that I can help you and help more people without the commitment of coaching. And I've got a wait list for that you can join. The link is in my bio. If you just tap on join the wait list, you can also help me name the project. So when you sign up and register, you'll get an email with a little survey of a few different names, so you can pick which one you like. And you'll also get a special code when it launches, so that you can join. But it's more of a membership type situation where you'll get access to my online courses rather than having to outlay a large amount of money to buy the course, which is that's what currently is available. And there's also going to be a Zoom call once a month that you can join, and you'll have a coaching call like this with me, but it'll be much more interactive. And you'll have a lot more ability to get your questions answered. There's going to be a library inside the membership with more detailed explanations of how to implement strategies with kids. And I've created a spreadsheet with a lot of the questions that I get from clients and how we troubleshoot them. So I'm going to be starting to film those and putting those into the membership, which is really, really exciting. It's something that I've wanted to do for quite some time. But over the last 3.5 years, I've separated from my ex-husband, and it has very much been trying to survive. And I just haven't been in a mental space where I've been able to really grow into this kind of space, which is what I've really wanted to do. Because I know not everybody can commit to coaching, both in time and financially. It's quite expensive. Of course, coaching is the best way to get the one-on-one support that you need, strategies for your own child. I do have an opening right now in my one-on-one practice. If you want to book a call with me, you can go to my website, tap on work with me, and you can book a call. I have a space open, which is unusual. So you can go and book that, and we can chat about that. So I have someone here, Robin, you had said that your child is 11 and he has zero interest in food. And so I asked you, has it always been that way, like since he was very young, that he's been disinterested in food? If so, you said yes, and I think that it's been this way for a really long time. If that's the case, it could be an indicator of ARFID, which is an eating disorder, and it stands for Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. It's a relatively new eating disorder. It's only been recognized for about 11 years. So not every pediatrician is up to date on what it is. So if you are talking to your pediatrician, make sure they know what it is and get an assessment. And if you're not confident they know what it is, go to a different doctor. That's your child needs you to advocate for them. The other thing also is I've worked with a lot of kids over the years. Some of them have been diagnosed with ARFID and some have not. And there are some that have not been diagnosed with ARFID that I can't diagnose with ARFID. They do, in my opinion, meet the criteria in terms of lack of interest in food, lack of weight gain, and there are a couple of other things which to me that they do meet those markers. Whether or not your child has a diagnosis, to me it doesn't matter because I'm looking at the child in front of me and I'm going off of what you're telling me. Like, they're not interested in food, they don't want to come to the table, they don't want to try things. I'm going to be helping you with those symptoms. And whether your child has been diagnosed with ARFID or not, to me doesn't make a difference because I'm using strategies that will work for your specific situation with your child. So Robin, if that's kind of what you're thinking, I would recommend, it's really, everybody does better when you have support that is personalized to you. So I would always say, the more complex your case is, the more you're going to need one-on-one support. If you're at a point where you feel like that is what you need, I would definitely recommend that you reach out. You can either send me a private message and chat to me more, but it sounds like from what you've told me, I would be directing you to book a discovery call with me. And the only thing I would ask you is, are you and your partner on the same page about this? And do you both feel like you need support for this? And if the answer is yes, go and book a call with me. Shana says, how do you get a child to eat? How do you get a child enough fiber and iron? Can you give me a little bit more context there? In terms of, I'm not a big fan of counting how many grams of fiber or milligrams of iron they're getting. For me personally, I am more about the macro changes that you can make. So in terms of fiber, making sure that your child is getting a fruit and or a veggie option at every meal or snack, making sure that you're buying ideally the whole grain varieties of things. So if you're buying crackers, if you're buying bread, if you're buying bread rolls, if you're buying pancakes, if you're making pancakes, make them with whole wheat or buy them with whole wheat flour or some kind of whole flour, whether it's wheat or not, I don't care. It could be spelt flour, just making sure it's not the really super milled version of it because that contains a lot of fiber as well. And then in terms of iron, making sure that every meal or snack that your child has an iron source. Don't worry about protein. Every food that has protein does not have iron. Every food that has iron has protein, not necessarily a ton of protein. So for example, spinach doesn't have a ton of protein, but it does have protein and it does have iron. People who focus all on protein are more than likely going to miss out on iron because protein, it's not, most children don't have any issues getting their protein. They do have an issue getting enough iron. I hope that answers the question. I've heard you discuss including dessert as part of the meal. What if they just eat that? Kelly, are you still on the live? Are you asking me a what if question, or are you saying I've tried that and that's what happens? If it's a what if question, I would say that's based on your fear that that's what's going to happen. So if that's true, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. And remember that it's quite possible that that is what they eat at the beginning. If you've withheld dessert from them, it's a what if question. So that's a fear on your side, yeah? You haven't tried it and it's a fear of that's what's going to happen. If you've withheld dessert or you've made it like a thing unnecessarily, I'm not saying that you've done this on purpose, but you're like, I'm worried that they're going to do that, so I'm going to give them dessert after. You're actually more likely doing more harm than good anyway by giving it after, because your child your child either knows they're going to get dessert after, which means they're not going to eat as much at their meal so that they're hungry for dessert, or they're going to eat plenty, be full, and then they want to eat the dessert so they'll overeat. And then I have some parents who are like, oh, my child doesn't know they're going to get dessert afterwards. Okay, so they've eaten their whole meal until they're full, and now you've given them dessert, and they're going to eat it and be overfull. So it's not the flex you think it is. I would just be putting it on the plate. And remember, at the beginning, yeah, your child is probably going to eat that because it's like super exciting and novel and they haven't been able to do that before. There's a period of adjustment. It takes practice. I do have an online course called Stress-Free Sweets and Eats, which again, all my courses will be available as part of my membership. It's like $1,300 that you'll get, like just that alone, when you join the membership, which is going to cost way less than that. So make sure that if that's something that you want to have access to, go and sign up, join my waitlist. All you need to do is go to the link in my bio, tap on waitlist, stick your email in there, and I'll send you an email. There are 6 different names that I've come up with to name the membership. And I was like, I'm not great at making decisions, right? Like I'm a business person. I'm a mom. I make a fuck ton of decisions all the time. I was like, I brainstormed some ideas with a friend of mine and I'm like, I don't know which one to pick. I made a survey. When you sign up to the waitlist, you'll get an email with the survey in it and you can just tick the ones that you like and let me know. And the one that has the most votes is going to be what I call it. So make sure you go and do that. It's kind of a little fun thing. Bethany, finally gotten my 8-year-old to try more foods, but he's literally vomiting sometimes with NP foods, non-preferred foods. Is that an indication of ARFID? No, it's not. It could, okay, so vomiting with non-preferred foods. Is he vomiting or are they vomiting with preferred foods or only non-preferred foods? Good, give it a try with the meal. Please sign up for the waitlist as well and help me name the membership. Okay, Bethany, only non-preferred foods. Like it happened with corn and then it happened with spaghetti. Okay. When you say that you got them to try those foods, were they pressured to try those foods? Because almost always, I've had every time I've gone live, someone's mentioned or had a question like this. And I always ask, it's a bit uncomfortable. There's no judgment here. I can only help you if you're honest with me. I tell this to my clients too. There's no judgment, but I can only help you if I know exactly what's happened. So I'm asking this question, not to judge you. Have you forced or coerced your child to try the foods? Because you said, I've managed to get my 8-year-old to try these foods. And if the answer is yes, I have coerced them, you don't even have to answer here. You can just answer to yourself. I don't want you to feel judged. If the answer is yes, you've gotten them to do it by bribing or forcing them or really pressuring them to do it. Can you put yourself in their position for a minute? What if I gave you something like a snail to eat and I'm like, eat it, try it, you'll like it, lick it, try it, take a bite of it. You might be so disgusted by it that you would do that. You would take the bite of it and then, could you imagine? Imagine being pressured to eat a snail. I would imagine that I would probably gag on it as well. Okay? So it's not an indication of ARFID. It's an indication of the child's been forced to do something. Putting something in your mouth is a very intimate act. Okay? If you don't want to put something in your mouth and someone's forced you or bribed you or pressured you to do it and you feel like you don't have a choice because there's a power imbalance between you. You're the mum or the parent and they're the child and they feel like they don't have a choice. There's a really good chance that that's going to make them feel physically ill and they could vomit or gag. I've had kids that's not. They have chosen to do it on their own and it's still not an indication of ARFID. In this case, it sounds like it's an indication of the child was pressured. They didn't want to do it. And this is the result. And it's kind of a fuck around and find out situation. I'm sorry to have to put it into those terms, but we've forced the child to do something they don't want to do. That's the outcome we get when we do that, which is why I don't recommend forcing or bribing or pressuring. But if your child is a child who has willingly tried something and they've gagged on it, I've worked with kids that's happened before. This one kid I worked with in a group and yogurt was a really challenging texture for them. And so they made a tzatziki sauce together out of yogurt. And the child had not made it with the mum, but the mum had made it and the child was taking it to the table and he looked at it and he gagged. And she was like, oh my God, what happened? And I said, it's quite possible that he, just by looking at it, he may have felt not even, and like, this is the thing, like with pressure, right? We hadn't pressured him. No one had pressured him to try it at all, but he just had looked at it, and maybe the thought to him of trying that made him gag. So what we did next time was we had him help mum like scoop out the yogurt and mix all the stuff in, and made the tzatziki again. And he didn't gag that time, and he was actually able to try it without gagging at all. So sometimes it's very much about the strategies we use before we sit down to eat the thing, which is why like I talk so much about communication, and I talk a lot about like, it's not just about what happens at the meal. Like my approach, I call it the connected mealtime approach, because it's not just what happens at the meal. It's connected to other things throughout the day. And if we're only utilizing meal times to talk about food and think about food, we're really missing out. And that's something that I work on a lot with my one-on-one clients and group clients. How do we make these exposures better at other times in the day? So I'm going to get you to give me a second here, because I was going to have a look. Sorry, my car's getting... It's just a life thing this week. Like, I took my car in to get serviced last week, and they told me I need 2 new tires. So I'm like, a service itself is not cheap. And they're like, you're going to need new tires. I'm like, oh, fucking great. So my car's going and getting new tires, and I've got to go collect it soon. So what I wanted to say was, one of my clients, he's 16 months old at the moment. When we started working together, he was really struggling with different textures, like wet textures in particular was a real struggle for him. And like, he's done so well. He also wasn't really eating any fruits, but lately we've introduced fruits in many different ways, and he's accepting pear, he's accepted watermelon, he's accepted apple in different various forms. He's also eating yogurt now, which is fantastic, because that was on their wish list of foods. He's added like a lot of foods from their wish list to his actual like reliable rotation of meals. He's eating mixed foods. He's eating rice with different foods mixed into them now, like sauces and stuff, which originally he wasn't. So this client is telling me they went out for breakfast and that he tried sauteed mushrooms in an omelet for the first time, and he enjoyed it and ate it. They also made cookies with coconut, apple, oats, and banana. The texture was very different from what he's used to, but he loved them. Yesterday we grilled barbecue, and he nearly ate an entire corn on the cob by himself. We gave him a few pieces of grilled chicken, and he happily ate them with no hesitation. That's awesome. Over the past few days, he's had success with olives. This is a 16-month-old, by the way. And a breakfast sandwich with avocado and eggs too, which is fantastic because we were working on eggs and avocado, both are new. Eggs he's picked up and added to his rotation. We're working on flexibility now so that he can accept them in different ways. Because like eggs are highly variable, right? Like a scrambled egg is very different than a sunny side up egg, very different than an omelet, very different than a poached egg. So if your child eats eggs, but they only eat them in one way, that's still pretty rigid. It's great that they have eggs on their list. However, it's still quite rigid if they only eat them in one way. We want them to be quite flexible. So for the fact that he's been able to eat it in a sandwich and with avocado, which is also a new food and it's a vegetable, is fantastic. Yesterday he ate Icelandic yogurt with strawberry and finished the entire cup. Again, he wasn't eating fruits or yogurt, and now he's eating fruit and yogurt together, which is awesome. In the morning, I made him an open-faced toast with nut butter. That was something that he was eating. It was quite dry, so he didn't like it by itself, but he did actually finish it. Okay, so my suggestion would be to like mash some fruit onto it or like something like that, just so that it is like a little bit wetter and easier for him to eat. And then I had another client from my small coaching group. So her child is 4 and he ate his first apple last week, which is fantastic. Apparently I asked how he ate it. It was cut up thin. They ate the flesh and then used the skin as part of smiley faces. Okay. Okay, this other mum. So this mum, I've got another mum who's in my small coaching group who has 2 very, very different kids in terms of like fussiness, in terms of what their reliable foods are very different. And so working towards one meal, she was like, I don't know how you're going to help me with that. And I'm like, I'm going to help you with that. And so we're working on that. And it is actually coming into fruition. It's happening. It's happening a little bit slower, but it is happening. So she ended up baking something on her own. She had started making it with her son, who's like the target child, who's also 4. And he kind of lost interest. So she made it himself. Both kids tried it, which is great. So it was a little win. But he was all up for food challenges to mix foods together that he already likes, but putting them together, which is absolutely fantastic. So he dipped 2 kinds of pretzels in yogurt. He tried a rice cake with cream cheese and with sliced Havarti. Usually he'll only have one, not both, and not together. He also tried a rice cake with cream cheese and took a simultaneous bite of cucumber, but not inside the sandwich, just bitten together in his mouth. So that in itself is actually a huge win. And a lot of people don't realize that that's a win. Like if you put 2 foods that a kid likes together, that's basically making a new food, and that's a huge thing. So I'm just looking at the time. I've got to get moving. I need to check this message about my tires. If you've enjoyed this or you have more questions, feel free to send me a private message. If you haven't joined the waitlist yet for the new membership site, go and join the waitlist. It's linked in my bio. If you want to talk about coaching, go to my bio and tap the link. Go to book a call with me. Work with me, book a call with me. I do have an opening in my one-on-one practice at the moment. It's rare, so go and book in. And I'm looking forward to meeting you and chatting with you. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.